Well, I'd like to talk about the so-called family unit. Well, I made videos depicting the reality that we do not have to be monogamous, that we should respect each other's freedom. But to be honest, if I would meet my intellectual equal, my woman that is practically on my level, about my age or even younger, I'm 31 years old, I would be happy. I would be a happy monogamous person. I just had this very interesting conversation with a grandmother, actually. I think around 80 years old. I just want to eat something for breakfast, and was drinking a coffee and had to sit with her, and we just got into a conversation. She has a daughter of 47 that had some relationships, but never really married and never really had children, and now is alone and is paying off a house and has no partner. I also come from a family that is really patchwork family. My mother married twice and divorced twice. My father has a girlfriend now. But it's a fact that via social engineering of the masses in the Western world, actually in the white Western world, that they destroyed the so-called family unit. A family is very strong. Its blood goes thicker than water, you know. A family always supports each other. If you have good contact to your sisters and brothers and mothers and cousins, you tend to help each other and you tend to work together. Now, they destroyed this in the Western world via social engineering, giving us false assumptions, false views, false hopes. They did not teach us on how to find a suitable mate. And at the same time, they do not allow us to actually meet that person whom you like to have children with. The only possibility that I got as an example is to go to a bar or to a cafe or to some club or disco or some party event and then socialize there and hope to meet some people there. I know many people from many different places, but I live right now in the Netherlands. I don't know that many people there. But because they tell me that it's better to get to know the girls or possible and future partners via your friends network. But what if you don't have a friends network? What if that's not available to you? Adolf Hitler introduced the Weihnachtsfeste here in Constance. They had the same problem back then in the 30s. They had a negative population growth. They needed a new generation of children to take over the place of the elderly people. As the Zionist Jews always do the same, actually. They want us to cease to exist. That's why they also allow massive immigration and program with multicultural propaganda. Again, I am not racist, but I would love to see that the Caucasian race or the white race survives. This talk that I had with this elderly woman was very interesting. She knew a lot. And she was married 56 years, and she told me it's not easy to be married that long. We also had our fights, a fair share of fights. And we went through good and bad together, and finally we made it together. Today people base themselves on materialistic, on false, what they have a different view. They can't see themselves. They are always lured by Hollywood superstars or Playboy superstars. We always get bombarded with pictures of how you should be perfectly. Now, I am also for the natural beauty, but we are bombarded with a constant depiction of how your girlfriend should be. And if you have a girlfriend and she's not some photo model, then you are unhappy. Now, I just find it sad that people like my mother, who are intelligent, who are kind, never really met that person whom they would like to spend their lives with. You need a partner to grow children. If you want to have an open relationship, then that should also be possible. But me personally, I would be happy to have my intellectual equal, a good-looking woman that attracts me, and I would be then monogamous, no problem. But even that, I've been single since years. I tried vainly in Berlin to get to know women via bars and discotheques and discos, clubs. Got so many different numbers, but it never worked out. And at the same time, you get used by these girls to buy them drinks, and then you get frustrated as well. Once I got so frustrated, I was becoming violent to a girl nearly, because she kept insulting me in such a way that I was like nearly losing it. But thank God somebody came in between. But this frustration level also rises. I know friends that have girlfriends that already have babies, but I also know many people who don't have any girlfriends or are not married. I even know people who are like 30 or 31 who never had a girlfriend before and are still practically virgin. So it's sad, you know. They destroy this social, cultural, biological drive of our population to come together. They make you make the wrong choices. We are not being taught on how to choose our mates. At the same time, the family unit is destroyed. Another way of actually getting to know people is when the family is so big and it has so many friends, the parents of the children know parents, their friends, and they know how you think, what is your intellect, what is your character, and they know the girls of the other parents, and then they can actually hook you up. I know that this was normal in the Middle Ages. Today we look down upon it, but somehow, if my father took me once on a ride through Constance in Germany, and he showed me all of his acquaintances and their daughters, and I was really pleasantly surprised because I was like being introduced to these women. So I don't look negative about it, because the parents know you the best. And if they say, well, these are my good friends of mine, they have their daughter about that age, she looks good, she's healthy, and we believe that you should meet, they just create a party and you should meet up. And if it clicks, then it clicks. I'm not for forced marriages like they do in Turkey or other Arab nations, where girls are forced to marry some old man or some man that they do not like at all. No, but I wouldn't mind having a family or a father trying to support you in your search for a mate. Now, the only possibility I have is to go out. But since I do not know that many people who are willing to go out, or I'd have to go out alone and then go hunting actually. And then is the question, would you meet an intelligent person? For me actually, would you meet such an intelligent person and a beautiful woman in my eyes by just going out? Well, I will do it eventually, because I don't know what else to do. Where do you talk to women? On the train, at work, at the university? Well, I've been studying since a long time, and the girls are really young, so that's also not an option. There's an intellectual difference in between 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds. If my girlfriend is 25, I wouldn't have a problem. I would even go younger if necessary, but people tend to mature intellectually through their age. So sometimes it's refreshing to see people of my age and talking to them, because we share the same amount of life experience. Now, the social engineering has been going on since decades now, and they tell us throughout school that any type of parents that try to help you or forced marriages is all negative, like in the Middle Ages, where women were married out. But actually, your parents know you the best, and if it's not only for wealth, money, and land, they would actually do their best to find a suitable mate. I just find it sad that people who live their entire lives on their own, who don't find a suitable mate, don't found a family, don't get children, and that the Caucasian race in Europe practically is dying out in this respect. It is according to plan, of course. You always have to know that it is done in such a way this is absichtlich gemacht. So they do it for the reason of breeding us out, actually. And they distort the family unit in Europe. I personally know very few people that are still together or are still married. And then they say, of course, marriage is an old concept, but to create a family, it takes two people. And you should put the health and of the children should be your utmost priority. And you should actually work together in this respect. You're a team. And the population, the people should be taught on how to choose their partners. And not be brainwashed by Playboy, Hollywood, supermodels, and be constantly unhappy, even if you have a girlfriend, that she's not good enough. I don't know. I wouldn't mind having a girlfriend, but at the same time, I got to know women that are really destructive and negative. I used to call them Kali entities. Again, there are also men who are destructive and negative, but these women are so negative, or they have a negative self-view and have to drag you down to their level. They're actually bad for you. My ideal view on a partner is she has to be good looking in my eyes, attractive. I have to like her. She has to be kind and intelligent. And intelligence does not ride high in our society. It's normal. That's why actually in a normal society you have this intellectual elite that rules over the body, the folk body actually. If everybody would be really intelligent, then you would not have people to do all the other jobs. We are practically like a beehive colony, only that we all get children, of course, but we are a structural biological entity. And this biological entity, the folk body, needs leadership and not false democracy. Now, I am a monarchist, parliamentary monarchist, meaning that the folk also has something to say. But actually, if you have a good leader in power, like Adolf Hitler was in the Third Reich, contrary to all the propaganda you get from official TV, like the History Channel, and official school history, Hitler was loved by his people. He was duly elected in power, and he did what he thought was best for the people. And I remember watching one of those news videos of the Third Reich that was broadcasted back then in the movies, and they actually showed people. They were actually teaching people on how to choose a mate. They had these flyers actually giving out to people, and they organized parties and events for people to meet up. That's why today here in Konstanz they still celebrate the Weihnachtsfeste. We always forget about that. Today we are not taught on how to choose our mates, and our families are shattered so that they cannot help you. My mother told me she would love to see me having a girlfriend that I would love, but I don't see myself. I don't see myself getting that. I should get out more, I admit, but finding a beautiful, intelligent, kind woman is difficult. At the same time, many women are single and don't find that person, and have assumptions on how their men should look like. So it's more and more. We have a negative birth rate, 1.7 or 1.8 in Germany. That's not enough to replenish the numbers. At the same time, there's massive multiculturalism, well, massive immigration from non-white lands. That's all part of the plan. And after you're leaving high school, you're totally programmed to believe that it is the only solution to the problem, whereas the solution to the problem is make the people happy, teach them on how to find a suitable mate, that you have to meet somebody of your own intellectual level, of your own intelligence. Because if you take somebody that is below you, then the relationship will not last, because the person will be bored. Or if you have a highly intelligent woman going with, as an example, The Simpsons, just brainwashing, Even The Simpsons, even something as trivial as The Simpsons, brainwashing. The Simpsons portrays a family where the woman, or Lisa Simpson, is really intelligent, the son is an idiot, and the father is an idiot, and the woman is smart. This is a programming, actually, that women should take dumb men as their mates because they're loyal to them. All these series have a programming, and a programming on your mind. You could say it's my conspiratorial view on it, but I know that these series have an influence on your mind. And I would actually forbid my children of watching this propaganda on TV. Even Game of Thrones is some type of propaganda because it is a projection on the Middle Ages on how kingdoms were. If you would portray a kingdom where the king is loved by his people, it would not be in the interests of these Zionist elites who rule over us, who rule over us like despots, dictators, and the worst possible kind of leaders. The politicians are mere puppets, but over 90% of the population just believe the mass media, believes the fairy tales that they tell you, and just want wealth, money, materialism, and show. I got a Facebook page, but I don't socialize that much because I don't go out that much. It's difficult for me generally being awake in this society. Maybe it's because I have traveled a lot in my life that it's difficult for me. I'm always welcome everywhere where I go. If I go to Berlin, I know people there, I'm always welcome there. If I go to Belgium, people welcome me there. If I go to Tenerife, Canary Islands, I traveled a lot, so I got a shattered background. But even if people would remain in one place and are not taught on how to choose their mates, then the marriage that occur from these encounters will not last long. And that has been the number one goal since the very beginning, to destroy the family unit, because the family unit is very powerful. It's not about friendship, it's about blood. I met my cousin here for the second time in my life. He visited me here for a couple of days. He wanted to get himself checked up by my father, who was a doctor. And he's also intelligent, and I was on his level. I told him a little bit about conspiracy online, but he was 22 years old and has no idea, you know. And we just, talked family. It's family. It's not about getting to know each other. It's just about, that you're family, that you're related, and that you're there for each other if necessary, like brothers. And that's actually how a society should be. In ancient times, it was clans, large families, were all interconnected. And ancient Celts or the ancient Germans, so always the girls that were practically married out and adapted to the new families. But this was to ensure biological diversity. So, yeah, that elderly woman that I talked to, married since 58 years or 60 years, I find it very sad for her daughter, who's 44, 47, and never married, and never got children, and is alone, but probably also live alone and die alone. That's very saddening, The Third Reich was a rebellion. People were taught on racial eugenics, the true reasons of the rise and falls of civilizations depending on your biological racial makeup. And it was not about hating other races, it was about upbreeding your own race and keeping the folk body healthy. And a true king is always loved by his people because he wants to keep the people happy and healthy. Our rules poison us through the food chain. There's so many people getting cancer in Europe, it has become an epidemic. At the same time, they brainwash you that the official treatments are the only things that you can do. Chemotherapy, radiotherapy, that's the only way that you can treat cancer. And they mostly die off. So they're actually killing us off. But at the same time, we've been brainwashed to believe that it is how it is. and we cannot explain it. There are all other diseases, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, that are becoming more and more in actually, and we cannot explain why. At the same time, the pharma industry is totally controlled. They tell you, of course, through TV that they're researching against cures for cancer, that they're doing their best, investing billions upon billions, as they do with the AIDS industry. But we know that our masters, the Rothschilds, the Zionist fuckers, they don't love us. They hate us. They're poisoning us, killing us off, and we believe it's normal and that we cannot do anything about it. Now they're probably instigating World War III. I made a video yesterday about the possible prophecy becoming a reality. Well, nothing really happened, but nevertheless they're pushing for war. And we can't do anything. Most people don't react. Facebook, it's all about show, about showing that you're doing great parties, showing off how beautiful your girlfriends are, or how many friends you have, how many cars you have. If you put anything political, you get 0 likes. People don't want to know until the war is at their door. So I understand in the Bible the verses, even if you're blind, even if the people are blind, you're my sheep and I will guide you, from Jesus Christ. People who believe in him apparently will be led by him. People are blind today. At the same time, they've become ignorant and don't want to notice. To be honest, I also get sick of it. I always see on Facebook, on my second account, all the negative stuff that I already know about all the things that they're doing worldwide, about all the war crimes that are happening in Gaza, in Iraq, in Libya, in Syria. Everywhere where you're looking at, there are war scenarios. I get sick of it. And if I would have a job and a wife that I love, I would probably also ignore those posts, because I can't change it. You must know that protesting does not help. We've been taught our entire lives that the only way to express frustrations against the government, that is actually a tyranny, a hidden tyranny, is by protesting. How many millions of people protested against the Vietnam War in the 70s, so-called hippies or whatever? How many thousands upon thousands of people protested there? Did it do anything? Nothing. The Zionist elites waged the war in Vietnam to actually make it either capitalist or communist, both sides of the same coin. Now, I don't know the true revisionist history of Vietnam. I only know that the Americans butchered over 1.5 or 3 million people there. Again, they brainwash you that the so-called Holocaust, which you're not allowed to question because it's practically more than a religion, and the Jewish suffering is eternal, that they justify every genocide since then. And I can't change it. I'm one person on a YouTube channel with 200 subscribers. I only speak my mind, but if this would be Soviet Russia, I would be already in Gulag, probably also killed and tortured. John F. Kennedy knew the truth. He tried taking the power away from the Zionists, got whacked by the Mossad. Not by some Cuban extremist or whatever. They always whack or assassinate those people that want to change anything. And it's all about knowledge. It's about mind control. It's incredible now that if everybody would know what I know, this war would end tomorrow. There would be peace. Probably all these people responsible for this would be hanged and killed and executed, which I would find normal after those horrible crimes that they've committed. I still believe that we are in the end times and that Judgment Day is upon us, but I can't pinpoint the exact location on it. And until that day, I will just try to do my best and lead a normal life, and hopefully in peace. And find a suitable mate of my age or younger, of my intellect, my intellectual capacity, and maybe have a nice family, even though it's horrible to live in this society. Normally I would suggest don't get babies, don't get children, but that would be the end of our people, the end of our race. That's what they want. A good friend of mine doesn't want children because he knows that the minority groups in Europe are taking over more and more and more. And they want this civil war to happen. You want to be living in a society where you know that your children will have it good. The only reason that I would have children is because I want to pass on my genes, pass on my blood. But if I would think of the circumstances, then I wouldn't do it. It might take years before I meet the right person. And I don't believe it's going to be in some bar or some club. And if it's my destiny to stay single forever, then sadly, that's how it is. And if our people don't wake up, or if God or Jesus Christ don't intervene, then our people will die out. At least we will observe this, be witnesses to this. It will be sad. The entire world will become like Egypt or South America. No more Western countries, no more white countries, and no more developed nations. Well, people who follow my videos know about this, but people who are still sleeping would find this offensive, would say that love goes above race. But you have to consciously know, be racially aware, and you will fall in love with people of your own kind. Races are different. If I observe my African half-brother as an example, he has a power that is way too powerful for your average white European girl. But our Hollywood mass media production, controlled by the Jews, yes, for the info, keeps pushing us with this black is cool, black is superior. Again, I got nothing against the black race, but it is a fact that Africa is a backward country to this day. If it weren't for European influence, which we are damned for, Africa would still be a hunter-gatherer society. And no, I do not believe in Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, that these black Africans will eventually evolve to become white Europeans. The white European Caucasian race has created most, if not all, civilizations in history, be it the Mesopotamian history, the Sumerian kingdom, or the Sumerian Reich. They were all Aryan kingdoms. Even Egypt was at the very beginning an Aryan civilization. People who research this know it. Just look at present day today. The most developed nations on earth are European countries where white people reside. And all other nations are either playing catch up or using our technology and know-how to modernize their economies and modernize their countries, like China. Without European influence, China would not be booming. They get all their technology from the West. Well, I just wanted to make a short rant on social engineering and on how difficult it is to find a suitable mate in our society, and that our race actually is dying out. Cheers.